New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
Well, good evening to everyone across the United States and also around the world. It is time, once again, for another fun-filled, thrill-packed, and always exciting edition of the Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. I am Pastor Michael Mangus from the super secret radio room, surrounded by thousands, literally thousands of watts. In a secure concrete bunker that only Diego and very few people know. So anyhow, it's really good to see everyone this evening. We have a wonderful show, and so stick with us tonight. If you'd like to interact with us, we like that. So please feel free to do that by posting your comment below on Facebook. If you're feeling a little shy, which I know some of you are, all right, just send me an email, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. I read all of your emails, and thank you so very much. So the purpose of our Friday evening Fireside Chat is to talk about contemporary issues from a New Thought perspective. And as I keep saying week after week, I want us all to have a new thought about all that is going on around us, not only here in the United States, but also globally. And like I said last week, you do not have to agree with me. Now, Diego plays the disclaimer that we had professionally made by my friend, Jay Silvers, mainly for its entertainment value, but we also play it because we want you to know that these are my views. These are my opinions. I just want us all to start thinking in a new direction. We have a new world that's coming about here. So we need some new thought to go with that. Happy Mother's Day this Sunday, May 9th, to all the moms out there. I miss my mom terribly. Can't even begin to tell you. So if your mom is still around, if you could, give her a big hug from me, all right? Thank you. Would appreciate that. We have a really special guest tonight from WAMMS, Walk a Mile in My Shoes, is my friend, the Reverend Donna Christine Parks, who will be speaking about her unique ministry of going into cities and doing shoe drives. She told us that she's doing a fundraiser right now for flip-flops, which she'll tell us more about here in just a few moments. So we will talk with Reverend Donna Christine here and around 25 after the hour. We start tonight's news off. COVID-19 is still with us. Total number of cases, 32,403,159. Cases in the last 7 days, 307,153. And the total number of deaths, including my mother at a Mangus, 577,041. Now, the statistics are going down. The number of infections and also the death count. But we still have to be really careful here. I share with you about my mother week after week, not to get your sympathy, but I share with you that because I want you to realize and recognize that for each and every number that I talk about, there is a real human being behind that number. We need to still take this seriously. What you need to know from CNN, the true pandemic death toll could be high as 6.9 million people worldwide. That's a new analysis from the University of Washington. Also, infection rates in some parts of India are soaring. In the coastal state of Goa, more than 50% of the people tested had a positive result. Germany has voiced opinion to waiving patents on vaccines after a plan originally put forth by India and South Africa won the U.S. backing. The patent is on the vaccine. So what they're trying to do is to try to get those patents lifted so that other countries can make the vaccine at cost. Also, in the United States, more than 44% of the people have received at least one dose of a COVID vaccine, including yours truly. In contrast, over 9% of the people in India have had at least one shot. So my week on Facebook has been interesting. I had a comment on my page from someone I used to work with in government. She said in a comment to a post I had about the effectiveness of the vaccines, she wrote this: "The FDA has not given full approval yet, and good luck to all of you lab rats out there." So I know the hesitancy is real, yet medically and scientifically, these fears are not based in fact. All three of the vaccines have been approved for emergency use, including Pfizer now applying for full approval, and that will happen by September. From CNN, it says the COVID-19 vaccines are highly effective and the chance of an adverse reaction is rare. Please hear this. From CNN, vaccines are ramping up across the United States. More than 175 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered, according to the CNN vaccine tracker. a rate of about 53 doses per 100 people. But some developments have dampened the excitement. This week, a few vaccine sites across the U.S. paused operation after some patients reported adverse reactions following the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The vaccine also has been linked to blood clots in 4 people who received the vaccine, and one of the cases was fatal. European health officials confirmed. Incidents of breakthrough infections have caused some concerns too. A few people who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 have been still infected with the virus and in some cases have died. But both issues raise valid concerns, said Dr. William Schaffner, who's an infectious disease professor at Vanderbilt University School of Medicine. But he said this, and please listen to this. He said, but the risks of getting vaccinated, severe reactions remain incredibly rare, and are outweighed by the risks of the COVID-19 infection, he said. Health experts in the U.S. and beyond agree this. All 3 COVID vaccines currently authorized in the United States continue to be safe and highly effective at preventing COVID-19 infection. Let's understand that. This is the science. These are the statistics. Moderna and Pfizer, which in clinical trials were found to be 94 to 95% effective at preventing COVID-19 infection, have been recently studied under real-world conditions following their authorization in the U.S. and other countries. A U.S. CDC report that followed fully vaccinated healthcare workers found that both vaccines were 90% effective at preventing infections. 90%. We had medical personnel dying last year because being exposed to COVID-19. I go on here, he says, but 90% isn't 100%. So breakthrough infections or cases of COVID that occur in fully vaccinated people are to be expected and does not mean that the vaccines are less effective, said Dr. Anthony Fauci at the White House briefing on Friday. That number of individuals who were breakthrough infections is not at all incompatible with a 90% plus vaccine efficiency. So I don't think that there's a need to be concerned about any shift or change in the efficacy of the vaccine, Fauci said in response to a question from CNN's Caitlin Collins. The one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine is considered highly effective at preventing severe illness and death from COVID-19. And again, all of these sites across the United States and in several other countries, they get different vaccines. So please, just go ahead and whatever that they have, just go ahead and take it. So here's an article that I've had for several weeks, and I haven't had a chance to talk about it. Again, this is from CNN. It says, our guide to avoiding COVID-19 at church and other religious services. From Kristen Rogers from CNN. She wrote this. She says, there are few no-risks activities during the COVID-19 pandemic, but there are ways to mitigate the risks. Fully vaccinated people are, of course, at much lower risk of contracting and spreading coronavirus than people who have not been vaccinated. CNN medical analyst Dr. Lena Wynn advises approaching your decisions with that in mind. So if you're wondering how to get back to in-person religious services, Dr. Wynn recommends thinking about it like your finances. Just like a financial budget helps you figure out what your spending limits are, a coronavirus budget can help you figure out where your boundaries are in terms of potentially risky activities, including religious services. Hear me out here. When you're vaccinated, your budget now expands, says Wen, who's an emergency physician and visiting professor of health policy and management at the George Washington University Milken Institute School for Public Health. Dr. Wen goes on. She says, you can do a lot more, but you still can't do everything. So you should still choose the things that are most meaningful for you, that are of the highest value. For example, if it is really important for you to return to in-person church services, don't also dine indoors in restaurants every night. Why? That's because, again, COVID-19 is spread airborne. If you're in an enclosed place, like, for example, an indoor restaurant, again, you're more than likely to be exposed to it. I go on and says, some churches, synagogues, and mosques and other houses of worship have been offering virtual or outdoor services. If you do attend an in-person service inside, because unvaccinated people are still at higher risk, both vaccinated and unvaccinated people still need to follow the public health measures recommended by the CDC. This includes following the guidance of your local public health department and government. Wear a mask. Stay at least 6 feet away from people who don't live in your household, and avoid poorly ventilated spaces. Well-ventilated spaces here have the abilities to open windows and doors and use window fans. They also have properly operating ventilation systems and HEPA, that's highly effective particular air filtration systems that enhance the air cleaning. The advice goes on, this is from CNN. It says, try to sit next to an open window or door, or choose a service in which people tend to sing less. Now, why is that? It's because that if you sing, what happens is that particulate comes out of your mouth. And it happens more during singing than any other time during the service. Singing can require making your voice louder and more forceful, which would increase the spreading of the coronavirus through the air. Before and after the service, wash your hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds or use hand sanitizer. Ask if your house of worship is regularly cleaning with soap or detergent. Frequently touch surfaces like pews, pens, and offering plates. You could bring sanitizing wipes to use if you need it. The risks of getting infected with coronavirus by touching contaminated surfaces are relatively low, the CDC has said, but the chances depend on several factors, including the infection rate in your community. The likelihood of surface transmission can be further reduced by properly wearing masks and hand washings. The CDC has also recommended a few steps to reduce the potential risks involved with sharing materials. Avoid or limit the use of shared objects such as pens, hymnals, religious text, bulletins, or other worship aids. Ask whether your church can instead photocopy or electronically display or project prayers, songs, and text. Most churches do that, by the way. Houses of worship can also use stationary collection boxes for offerings instead of passing the basket, or accept contributions online. If food is offered at or after services, choose prepackaged foods instead of buffet or potluck meals if possible. If you have children, the CDC also has said, provide resources for preventing the spread of coronavirus in childcare settings. Whether children should attend Sunday services depends upon the setting, Dr. Wen said. There should be enforced masking at all times, ideally 6 feet distancing. Outside is much better than inside, Wen added. If inside, at least have it be in a well-ventilated space. We should consider Sunday school to be the same as regular school, which is that the transmission can be quite low if proper mitigation measures are followed. The article is on CNN, by the way. It's usually up on their front page. Make a copy of that and give that to your minister, pastor. They probably already are doing it if they're having some type of services. What can we all do here? Let's continue to follow the science by wearing a mask, watching your distance, wash your hands, and crack open a window. Facebook and other social media is not your best place to get information about COVID-19. One of my friends who's a newsman at a local TV station told me his mother-in-law saw on Facebook that the vaccine is of the devil. I am not kidding. That's not true theologically. All right, so let's dispel that this evening here on the New Thought Media Network. Again, please, please, please study the science before deciding not to take the vaccine. A lot of these decisions being made not to take the vaccine is based in fear and not in fact. The vaccines of themselves are safe and highly effective. And we've seen that with the drop in the death count. We've seen that with the drop in the rates of hospitalizations that have happened here over the past few weeks. If you have any peer-reviewed reports or studies to the contrary, please email them to me, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. But the challenge is that there is none. The stuff that I get is stuff that's, again, from some far, I'm not going to even mention it, but some far out subject, some far out doctor who I've never heard. The reports that I mention here are all peer reviewed, which means that other scientists, other doctors take a look at it. So what I have seen is this, and I've been following this closely since last March. The science all points to the vaccine effectiveness. And again, for those of you who are still hesitant, remember that those countries who are hardest hit by COVID-19, like India and Brazil, they would give their right arm for a vaccine right now. We have been blessed here in the United States with a plentiful supply of this life-saving and giving liquid. In India, they have had so many cremations that they're running out of wood. Again, we will all get through this here. Let's guide our thinking. Let's make sure that we're getting correct information here from reputable news sources like CNN. Know that there is light at the end of the tunnel here. And for a while, we'll still have to follow the science by wearing a mask. Avoid social gatherings outside of your bubble. Know that even with the vaccine, it's going to take a while to get to a herd immunity. Now, because of the vaccine hesitancy, we may not get there. But the more people that we can convince to get the vaccine, and again, in this country, it's real easy now to do that, the better off we all are. Again, pray with me the outcome so that we can go back to normal or somewhat normal. And again, finally, please take this seriously. We will all get through this if we guide our thinking towards the positive. Even though that many New Thought centers are opening up, they are all doing so under the advisement of their local and state health departments. Being inside and not moving is still not a good idea right now. The all clear has not been issued yet. And I know everyone misses each other. I miss people. But I am not going to put other people at risk, even though I'm vaccinated. So anyhow, hi, welcome. You're watching the Friday evening Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. I am Pastor Michael Mangus. In a few moments here, we will have on my good friend, the Reverend Donna Christine Parks, who will be sharing with us about her wonderful organization, WAMMS. That is Walk a Mile in My Shoes, talking about all the wonderful things she does with her organization. She is a New Thought minister from Arizona. And I always like having Donna Christine on because we need, as New Thought centers, to be concerned about the world, to share in the world of our abundance. So I always like having Donna Christine on. And so Donna Christine Parks, our special guest, here in a few moments. So what we know about the grand jury indictment against the former officers in the George Floyd death. This is also from CNN. A federal grand jury indicted 4 former Minneapolis police officers in the death of George Floyd, alleging the officers violated Floyd's constitutional rights, according to court documents filed in federal court in Minnesota today. So this is what we know about the new indictments. Charges against Chauvin. The indictment says that Derek Chauvin, who was convicted last month on state murder charges in the Floyd death, deprived Floyd of the free movement from unreasonable seizure, which includes the right to be free from the use of unreasonable force by a police officer. Allegations towards the others, including To Tao and also J. Alexander Koenig, were also charged in connection with their failure to intervene in Chauvin's use of unreasonable force per the indictment. Chauvin, Tao, and also Koenig, and also the 4th officer, Thomas Lang, also faced a charge for failing to give Floyd medical aid. So where are the ex-officers now? The 3 officers appeared with their attorneys in federal court on Friday via video conference, and all 3 were released under $25,000 bond. Chauvin, who's awaiting sentencing on the state convictions, remains in custody. The White House today says that the indictment of Minneapolis police officers is a reminder of the need for police reform. The White House has seen the reports of Friday's announcement of the federal charges against Derek Chauvin and the 3 other former Minneapolis police officers in the death of George Floyd. Press Secretary Jen Psaki said on Friday, asked if President Biden had a response, Psaki said, "Obviously, we have seen the reports and we are watching any follow-up closely, but we don't have any specific reaction to the legal actions that were announced today." It's a reminder, as was the verdict in the Chauvin case just a few weeks ago, that there's still more to be done. While that was a moment of justice, certainly that is just the beginning. And it's a reminder of the need to put police reform in place through our legislative process and to put those reforms in place across the country. Press Secretary Jen Psaki also added. Racism is still alive and well here. Speaking up for justice and peace still needs to continue in a peaceful, nonviolent manner. And again, I saw this on my Facebook feed. Pray for an end to COVID-19 and peace in our streets. And I would also like to add to that prayer, justice and the end of racism. Our police and law enforcement officers have an extremely tough job to do. However, we as people who claim to be spiritual, who claim love, we just ask that our peace officers, which that used to be the name for police officers, is peace officers. We ask that our peace officers do their job, and we ask our legislators to implement changes in education, training, and also testing. The targeting of especially Black men and women must end now, period. Racism must end now, period. So what can you do? Well, you can do a lot. Ask what is mine to do. Continue to demand change in your city or village police departments. Have your center or church sponsor a seminar on nonviolent communication and also de-escalation techniques. Every church or place of worship can put on a nonviolent seminar. Each one of us can. So continue to eliminate from your consciousness, yes, your consciousness and my consciousness, the need for violence and bring forth the peace that's in everyone. See, again, we talk about oneness every single week at our centers. It's time to apply that here. We all have a part to play in bringing about a world that does work for everyone. Well, good evening to you. Good to have you aboard. We're going to take a break right now, and then we'll be right back. You're watching the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network.
Check it out. Thursdays, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Eastern. A healthy dose of Jersey Girl wisdom. Live with Rev Jersey Girl. Sponsored by New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
It's really good to have on the program this evening my good friend, the Reverend Donna Christine Parks. Reverend Donna Christine is an independent New Thought minister with an emphasis on interfaith activity and service. Reverend Parks is the president, founder, and chief enthusiasm officer, there you go, of Walk a Mile in My Shoes on the Path to Peace, a 501c3 nonprofit organization which provides a sturdy foundation for a peaceful day to folks who don't have any shoes. She'll tell you a few stories here in just a moment. With the primary message, which states quitting is not an option. Quitting is not an option. Do you understand that? Reverend Parks' intention is to bring a smile to your heart as you anticipate a new week of activities, fun, and a zest for being available to serve. So bringing a high level of passion and purpose, Reverend Donna Christine offers a joyously enthusiastic presentation, which reflects on the challenging path which she has led. And this has led to a wonderful new day for her life, and therefore is designed to inspire and also motivate you and everyone in your congregation. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce my friend all the way from Arizona, the Reverend Donna Christine Parks. Good evening. Welcome to the New Thought Media Network. Good to have you back. All right, Donna Christine, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. So unmute there.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, good.
That's good.
I'm delighted to be here with you. Always a pleasure and always a privilege, as a matter of fact. So thank you so much.
Oh, well, you're welcome. So, Donna Christine, tell us a little bit about WAMMS and how has COVID-19 affected you here?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, WAMMS is about to celebrate its 13 years of service. Excuse me. And we basically invite the sharing of gently loved shoes. And so when I come to a center or to a program, you know, we're doing a shoe drive, and people, you know, I love doing it in the spring because you're doing spring cleaning and all that other good stuff. And then the shoes stay local. That is the one thing that makes Walk a Mile in My Shoes on the Pastor piece a little bit different than some of the other shoe collection programs. We share locally. And so, for instance, I've been to Cleveland, I've been to Akron, and have been hosted and welcomed in both places several times. And my heart was so joyous with the amount of shoes that we were able to distribute to homeless shelters, back to work programs for women, children's programs. Here in Arizona, we have a program called 1 and 10, which is for LGBTQ teenagers and young adults. And so, and also Helen's Hope Chest, which is a foster care program. So we really delight in having the opportunity to share with, so many different types of programs that will welcome this very precious gift. So,
and how many pair of shoes have you given away?
Michael, I basically haven't been counting for quite a few years. We had achieved over 40,000, and then it just got to the point where I just stopped counting. But we still keep, I need to get over to the storage unit and do some sorting and packing, but we'll do that. It's just been the most amazing blessing in my life. And so, I call it a ministry outside of the box. It's one of those things where, I am not in a pulpit every week. I am grateful when I'm invited to speak at the centers and have had some incredible experiences doing that. But my, this ministry is truly a service program. And, I delight in it. And it's very personal. I have to say that, I think, Michael, I'm sure I've told you this story, but, back in, back in 2000 or back in 1999, I faced being homeless myself. And so I had a pair of gold naturalizer shoes that I just absolutely loved. And interestingly enough, I wore them till the toes were coming out one side and, whatever. I keep those shoes to keep me humble. And that, so I know what it's like not to be able to go out and buy a pair of shoes. And subsequently, in, following years, I went, Kmart was still available. And about once a year, I would go and buy canvas, canvas shoes that, kept me going for another year. And so this is a very personal mission, truly a mission. And it's about advocating for people who have less than most. And so I could sit here and tell you stories. If you don't mind, may I share one about Cleveland?
Yeah, I wanted you to tell about the man up in Cleveland. That was on my mind to have you share. Go ahead.
That's one of my favorite stories. When I came to Cleveland, we did an incredible, absolutely incredible shoe drive at my Living Truth Center for Better Living. And when we were delivering, I asked the person who was driving me, I said, would you mind if we stopped down at the public square? And I had a reason for wanting to go there because I'm also a devotee of Peace Pilgrim. And Peace Pilgrim had visited the public square in 1953 on her first trip, her first pilgrimage across the United States. And so I had a bag of shoes or whatever. You never know what size is going to be needed or this or that. But I walked around the square and I came upon this man who was sitting on a bench. And I went up to him. Mind you, I'm in a costume, which is what I do. I am the little old lady in the shoes. And so I walked up to him and he looked up at me and I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? And I asked him, I said, sir, how are your shoes? And I said, could you use, like a new pair of shoes? And, we basically, they're all gently loved, so they're not brand new, but for him, they were. And so I reached in the bag and we found this one pair of shoes, and he put the shoes on. And I mean, it was just, you could see his whole demeanor, it was just the most incredible experience watching this man sit up with pride and, just knowing that he had some protection from the street. And it was, August, early September at this time. So I walked away. I didn't want to embarrass him any further. So I walked away and we walked around the square. And when we came to the traffic light, he was at the traffic light preparing to cross the street. And I looked back at the bench and he had left his shoes there. So I walked back to those shoes and I picked them up, and they literally had no soles. So the fact that he got a pair of shoes, I mean, we really did provide a sturdy foundation for a peaceful day for this incredible man. So it's one of my favorite experiences for sure.
If you're wondering what you tuned into this evening, hi there. This is the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network, and we are talking with the founder of WAMMS, which is the Walk a Mile in My Shoes on the Path to Peace. It's President, Founder, and Chief Enthusiasm Officer, the Reverend Donna Christine Parks, telling us about some of the wonderful things that she does. So tell us the process that you go through when you come into town.
Okay.
And you're speaking or being sponsored by a center. Tell us the process.
Well, basically, I asked to be hosted when I come to town because we are truly a very tiny nonprofit organization, and so I come into town, and we spend usually the center has done a shoe drive for at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance of my arrival. And then, so if we have all of the shoes assembled, then I do the sorting and, more or less bagging them. And then, folks from the center will help with distribution. And one of the wonderful things is I ask you for your outreach programs, because most centers have, homeless shelters or programs that they serve throughout the year. And so that's what we do. We share with, those are the first places that I would like to consider, so that we can, it's like the gift that keeps on giving, because it's your service and your, the congregation's service. And we had this opportunity in Cleveland. We did Dress for Success. We did Caramoo House. We did all these wonderful places in Phoenix. Not in Phoenix. I'm sorry about that. In Cleveland. So it's, as I said, 13 years of divine experiences, and a true blessing to my life and to my heart. So I'm very, very, very grateful.
Yes, it's really interesting driving Reverend Donna Christine around to all these social service agencies. They are always so glad to receive our gift of shoes, and it was just so much fun. I remember the time that we did the backpack giveaway. Remember that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we filled backpacks full of all kinds of stuff, and we took it to an inner city church, and a bishop that I knew there, and we were able to give out backpacks and also $25 gift cards to a local shoe store that we were able to purchase at wholesale.
Right. Right.
So they were, again, when you invite Donna Christine into town, you really are helping your whole community, because the shoes that she collects stays in the community. It does not leave. All right. So, and a lot of these shoe drives in the past, and I know this from working with other organizations, is what they do is they pack them up and then send them overseas. And I guess that some of them are also resold overseas instead of just given away. So that's the big difference here in inviting in Donna Christine. She doesn't eat very much, by the way, okay? And she doesn't take up very much space, all right? She's very quiet.
Surely you jest.
Oh, yeah. She's very quiet, and that you can put her at one of the homes in your community, and then really have the joy of sharing good with your community. I remember the last time that Donna Christine was in Akron, that we were able to get the other Unity Church, of which we don't do very much with them. All right, even though that I know the pastor real well, we really do not have contact. I called up the church, and they did this. They had more shoes than we knew what to do with. I mean, they had bag after bag after bag after bag of shoes. And this is a group of people that we don't have anything to do with.
Wow.
And so, see, that's the magic of bringing in Donna Christine into your town, is that it's going to be very, very soon in which that we're going to hopefully get Donna Christine back on the road again.
Yay.
Yay. So this is something that you can be thinking of to invite her in. And again, that it really is, the magic that happens is unbelievable.
Oh, thank you, Michael. That's lovely.
Yeah.
I will share with you.
Go ahead.
I will share with you that, throughout the year, we have what I call different campaigns. And so right at this time, because I live in Arizona, you can imagine that the pavement is very, very hot. I mean, we already are in 100-degree temps. So from this year, we started in April, but usually from May and June, we invite the sharing of new flip-flops. And it's the only time of the year that I ask for new. And once again, the intention in this is to protect people from the heat of the pavement during the summer months. And I've had the privilege of doing the flip-flop drive in Alexandria, Virginia, and several other places over the recent years. And it's when you arrive, as Michael alluded to, when you arrive at an office and are delivering the shoes or the flip-flops, people are, they don't expect it. And so it's just this wonderful, wonderful gift on a regular day. So it's, just really been an amazing thing. And you're right. I haven't been out of town since I arrived back last February. So I'm ready to go. Anytime.
Well, we're gonna get you back out there.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So tell us more about how people can participate in this flip-flop campaign.
Okay. Well, right at the moment, I have a fundraiser on Facebook, and I believe it may be under my page. But Michael, did I send it to you? I don't know that I did. But I will, if you don't mind, I'll send it, back to you. And if you want to post it, that's fine. But you can visit me on WAMMS, Welcome I With My Shoes on the Path to Peace, on Facebook at facebook.com/WAMMS now. And this particular campaign more or less goes to what I call WAMMS Action Network Direct. And that spells wand. And so this is our opportunity, one of the times this year that we wave a magic wand to help people with something so simple, so incredibly simple. So if you'd like to donate $1 or more to the fundraiser, we would truly be blessed and welcome your participation.
So Diego had that up here. We'll get that up here again in just a moment.
Thank you.
So go to facebook.com/WAMMS now. And again, you'll get more information about how $1, $2, $5 will make a tremendous difference in another person's life.
I have to say that what I really would love is if we could generate, funds for 1,000 pair. And we're finding that they're hard to find right now. We go to Walmart and, they have the 98-cent flip-flops and, but they're really hard to find. At the end of June, and I don't know whether this will happen this year because of the pandemic, but Old Navy at usually the last Saturday in June has what they call the one-day $1 flip-flop sale. So their $4 flip-flops are $1, and they are sturdy and they're really, really good flip-flops. So that's great. I normally do not ask people to send shoes because of the cost of postage. So that's why this fundraiser is a really, really, simplistic way to do this. So I hope that helps.
And your money is well spent. It really goes to, again, they really shop for these flip-flops.
Oh, yes. We were out today. And believe it or not, I think we bought 15 pair, and that's basically all we could find. So, it's a little concerning when you want 1,000 pair, but we'll still, press on, as it were.
But again, what you're going to be able to do when you donate to this fund drive here is you are going to put a pair of flip-flops on someone. Probably that's going to be their shoes this summer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
we
again,
we have another campaign that we do, and we are, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bombas Socks. It's
yes.
BAMBAS. Well, we are a Bombas giving partner. And so for the last 3 years, we have been receiving about 3,000 pairs of socks. And when I walk in the door of an office with socks, I mean, you would think that it was the Holy Grail, because people, they say that socks are the most requested item of the homeless population. So that is another added blessing for sure.
Thank you, Bombas Socks, for all of your help on this. Now, what they do is when you buy, we'll just give them a free plug.
Yes,
when you go to bombas.com, what happens is when you buy a pair of Bombas Socks, what they do is they then donate another pair to organizations like WAMMS to go ahead and to give away. It's an absolutely wonderful way. Those are nice socks, by the way.
Yeah. People say, and a lot of times what I've been told is they don't hold perspiration, and they're really convenient and comfortable for like someone who's out with little or no protection from cold or from the heat of the pavement. So that's really incredible. So
we have a few more minutes here. I wanted you to briefly talk about your missions trip last year to Kenya. So what happened there? You don't often hear New Thought people going to Africa.
Well, I basically was introduced to an incredible lady who is a CSL minister from Canada. Her name was Connie Phelps. And I was introduced to this conference that was being held in Kenya. And I just signed me up. I basically, how in the world am I going to get to Kenya? Well, I do these special wreaths. I call them. It's a special wreath that I created, and I sold wreaths over Christmas, and that helped me, manifest the funds to be able to go. And so off I went. I had never been, to my previous trip was to Korea, so I have this thing about K's. And then, so last year I went to Kenya and met the most incredible people, so many amazing CSL practitioners and ministers. Ken Gordon and his beautiful wife, Deborah Gordon, were there, and they were just wonderful. And of course, since that time, Reverend Connie has made her transition, and she is succeeded by Reverend Barbara Samuel and Reverend Gwen Davis from CSL Kelowna in British Columbia. And I visit them every Sunday on the internet because they are, the music and you talk about enthusiasm. They are just spectacular individuals. And so it was just a glorious, and I will share with you, it was my first opportunity to.
We froze here. Hopefully we'll get her back here in just a moment. Reverend Donna Christine, you froze here. There you go. Yeah, just talk into the microphone there. There you go. You're back. Go ahead. Now we can't hear you. This is live television, folks. Go ahead.
Here we go. Reverend Connie came up to me towards the end of the conference. She says, "You realize you are now an international speaker." So voila. I mean, who would have imagined that this little old lady in the shoes would be an international speaker? But it was a tremendous experience, and met wonderful people. And I know that we will meet again. They are planning a return in 2023. And so I hope you will watch for that in the future, because it's really quite an experience, to say the least. If I can just very quickly, and I know you're
go ahead. We have 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Please go to the INTA, International New Thought Alliance website, and look at the information under events that will tell you the details for the INTA 106th Annual INTA World Congress, which will take place in July. And we would love to have your participation. We have some incredible speakers. Mitch Horowitz is one of the keynotes. And we have, wonderful, wonderful speakers. It is on Zoom. So please consider that for your listening and learning pleasure.
Yes, that'll be this summer in July. So go to inta.org and you'll get more information about it.
No, it's actually newthoughtalliance.org.
Newthoughtalliance.org. Okay.
Right.
Newthoughtalliance.org. Reverend Donna Christine Park from WAMMS. Again, thank you so very much. Thank you for all the good that you do out in the world. We really appreciate you. We need to get you back here in Northeastern Ohio soon. All right.
I can't wait. So thank you very, very much. I treasure the opportunity in the future.
Thank you so very much.
Say hi to everybody.
I will. We'll tell everyone hello. Reverend Donna Christine Park, thank you for being on our show this evening. Hey, folks, another show is come and gone. So if you stay on the New Thought Media Network, I'll be back in around hour and 15 minutes for our evening prayer here. So we just appreciate all of you. And again, we did not this evening get to formal announcements, but I wanted to ask you for your support of our wonderful network here. If you go to ntmedia.org/donate, please consider being a partner with us. Your money goes for us to be able to take this wonderful, powerful message to the world. ntmedia.org/donate. And again, if you could consider being a monthly partner with us, we would really appreciate that also. All right, time for me to go, and then we'll see you about, about an hour and 15 minutes here. I'll be back. But until next week, from Ohio, this is Pastor Michael Mangus. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.